Alright guys, welcome back to the spoiler review here for Resident Evil 7. I just barely did the video of just my review of the game, my overall score, and there are no spoilers in that video. So if you guys have not played Resident Evil 7 yet, I highly suggest you don't watch this video until you have finished playing the game, and then be sure to come back here and watch this video where I will be talking about my opinions on the story and just what I think about where it fits into the Resident Evil story as a whole. So again guys, you've been warned. This is a spoiler video for the game Resident Evil 7 Biohazard that just barely came out like last week. So you've been warned now. Without further ado, let's discuss. So if you guys played the beginning hour demo, you started out in this guest house, and you were kind of like, we were kind of speculating where that would all fit in, and we found out in the main game. So the game starts out, you get a message from Mia, which is the wife of Ethan, and she's telling you to come to, well actually she's telling you not to come to where she's at, which I guess she's in Louisiana. He figures that out. I don't know how he figures that out actually. He just knows she's in Louisiana. So he goes there and the game starts out, and you park the car and you're walking along, and if you guys remember like the paranormal investigators from the demo, you find their van, and then you go through the guest house as normal in the beginning, finding the VHS tape and seeing what happened to them. But now you get to go down into the ladder. The ladder that went down where Andre was killed, you get to go down there now and continue on, and you find out that Mia has been kind of held captive there, I guess, and you don't really know what's up, but you wake her up and you guys are walking out, and then once you get upstairs, she actually turns into the girl we saw in the demo. Now I don't know if it's the ghost either. There was a ghost in the demo, and I don't know if that was supposed to be Mia, but it kind of feels like, yeah, it probably was. So she basically, I'm just going to spoil the virus right now here, guys. She basically was infected with the E series virus is what they were saying it was. It was kind of like a mold that they found, and I don't really know where, because there's the notes at the end that have a lot of things blacked out. I think they did that on purpose because they're not ready to tell us everything yet, but needless to say, I'm looking at this new virus kind of like Las Plagas from Resident Evil 4, where this is just a new virus that they have found somewhere, some kind of plant or whatever, and they created a bioweapon out of it. Evelyn, she's this little girl that you see on the front cover of the game, and she kind of, you kind of hallucinate her throughout, and she's the reason why everything's all messed up. I mean, Mia is messed up because of Evelyn. The Baker family, it was actually a normal family, you find out, until Evelyn came along. So the way that works is Ethan's wife was actually Evelyn's handler, it seems like. They're kind of vague about it, whatever that means, handler. I'm guessing she works for the company, some kind of company that was escorting this bioweapon to somewhere. They don't really tell you like what the point of this bioweapon was, other than they were going to use it to like adapt into societies, because they gave it the moniker of a child. It could adapt to societies and be more trusting, I guess. But as far as Mia's Evelyn, like, they don't really explain what she was doing with it, like where they were taking that, as far as I could tell. I mean, if you guys found any explanation or you got any theories, feel free to comment below, because from what I've seen, she was just kind of taking it somewhere, and some things go wrong on the ship. Evelyn gets out and starts causing all sorts of hell on the ship, and she creates this black mold. Now this is where the mold monsters come from. If you remember the mold monster from the demo, everyone was like, what is this? She creates them basically from herself. She basically can just create this mold whenever she wants, and her whole goal is to build like a family unit, and that's kind of where the Bakers come in, but I'll talk about them in a bit. So anyway, you're on the ship with Mia, and you get to, this is a VHS tape late in the game, you get to see basically what happened to the ship. And this ship ended up crashing in Louisiana somewhere. Like that's where it stopped, I guess. It crashed into a coast of Louisiana. Coincidentally, it was right near the Baker's home. So the Bakers went out to investigate it. They found Mia and they found the girl Evelyn, and of course they're just good people. So they just went to help. They went to help them, and they brought them back to their house, the Baker estate, and basically they became infected. It seems like it was over a 3-year period. I believe they found them in like 2014, because they said in the demo that the Bakers just went missing in like about 2014. No one knows where they went, what happened to them. So it looks like for like 3 years leading up to this game, they were infected, and there was newspaper articles that they've murdered a lot of people since then, because Evelyn basically has made them crazy. They become crazy, like cannibalistic people, and they can regenerate. They can't really die from what I see. I mean, you do kind of kill them in the game, but it's like they're very hard to kill, we'll say that. You do kill Jack Baker in a boss fight, and you do kill Marguerite Baker in a boss fight, and basically, like, they can die, I guess. Now, that's kind of the story. The basic story of this game, guys, is you respond to Mia's distress signal. You wind up at the guest house from the demo, and you find Mia in the basement, and you basically find out that she has been possessed. Hence the reason why you haven't seen her for 3 years either. She's possessed with the infection that Evelyn has been strewing about that area. And they show in the VHS tape Mia was the handler. She got infected early on, so she was infected even before the Bakers were. And you find her, and then she basically attacks you. She like stabs you. She saws your arm off. You know, some crazy stuff happens, and then you shoot her in the face, and that's when the Bakers show up. Jack Baker, like in the demo, you go, "Welcome to the family, son." He punches you, and then that's when the game like really starts, because they take you back to the Baker plantation, and then basically you just have to fight through this. You have to fight through Jack, you have to fight through Marguerite, and then later on their son Lucas, who you saw in the demo, the like crack addict looking kid that Jack cuts his hand off at the dinner table. You have to deal with him later. And then there's Zoe. She's the daughter of the family that I didn't want to talk about in the non-spoiler video. She's the one, like, whenever the phones ring, she's the one that talks to you on the phones, and she kind of just is there to tell you what to do next. She's like the guide of the game, and she's not infected. I don't know how she didn't get infected, but she's actually completely normal from the rest of the Bakers. I have no clue how that happened, but she wants out of the house, basically. She wants off the property, and she sees that you're doing pretty good against the Bakers. You're fighting them and you're resisting them, and so she thinks, oh, he might be the way to get out of here. So she helps you throughout the game. You have a choice in the end to cure either her or Mia, and that will give you either the good or bad ending. So you kind of just make your choice from there. But yeah, that's kind of the game. I mean, you go at the very end, you end up going to the ship that crashed, and then you have to fight Evelyn, pretty much. You have to, and meanwhile, you're fighting all these molded throughout the monsters that Evelyn has created. So that's kind of the end. The spoiler that everyone's talking about, the very end of the game. For one, there's this character that you see in the game, this old grandma. You think it's Grandma Baker the whole game, because you're just hallucinating Evelyn. The little girl is just a hallucination, you find out. And this Grandma Evelyn is actually, Evelyn, because you read like a document where they create these bioweapons to look like little girls, but they have like a very rapid aging process. So basically, that's what she is. The whole game, you're looking at this old woman, and she keeps popping up all over the place as you're playing the game, and you're like, who is this? And then you find out in the end that it's Evelyn the whole time. So that's kind of the big twist of the game, and it is very clever. And then you have to go through like kind of a boss fight, and this is where the familiar face shows up. Everyone was talking about this guy throws you a gun similar to Resident Evil 1 where they throw the rocket launcher to kill the nemesis. He throws down a pistol and he says, use it, you know, and then you use it and you kill the bioweapon, which is Evelyn, and then he lands and he basically takes his helmet off. He's wearing like a flight suit. He takes his helmet off and he says Redfield. So he doesn't say Chris Redfield, he just says Redfield. So everyone thinks this is Chris, but I have my own theories on who it is. I think it might be Chris's son or maybe his brother. We don't know yet. And there's going to be a DLC coming out that's free. It's called Not Another Hero. So that should help explain things. But anyway, guys, the reason why I gave it a 9 out of 10, I think that the game length is just a little bit too short. I beat it in about 12, 13 hours, and that was me doing everything. I was exploring everything. I was item managing. I was reading all the documents, killing all the enemies, doing everything, like looking in every corner for every item I could even think to find. So even with all that, it's still only clocked in at about 13 hours. And like I said, I've beaten the game 3 times now. I got the achievements for beating the game without healing, beating the game without using a crate, and then beating the game in under 4 hours. And I actually beat it in about 2.5 hours on my speed run. So the game is actually very short. We're talking like Outlast lengths here, which that could be a disappointment to some because this is a $60 game and the length is not really there. So that's something to consider if you decide to buy this game. I would say it's not even worth 60. I would say buy it for 30. Just wait a while. It's a single player game. It's not going to get more expensive. There's more DLC coming out too, so you might want to just wait on that. So let's see what else. Yeah, and then as far as the story goes, there's just a couple things. Like the very end was kind of it was kind of rushed in my opinion. Having Redfield in there for no reason didn't really add anything to the game for me. And then also the end boss fight was extremely disappointing. And also Lucas, you go through some like Saw games with him. He like puts you through some puzzles, but you never actually fight Lucas. So I was always wondering, like, where did that guy go? I mean, did he just like run off somewhere? They didn't really tie that up. So that's another minor issue that I had. But really, those are the only things. There's 3 things. There's the ending was kind of meh. It could have been better, but we'll see what happens with DLC. The game length, it's criminally short, honestly, if you really think about it. There needs to be more there. That does not mean that it's not a good game. It's just in a time where games are getting so expensive, it's really disappointing when you get a game that's under 10 or under 15 hours because you're spending $60 for this. This is a lot of money. And then last but not least, Lucas was not resolved. His character arc was the thing that makes it so frustrating is they really tied up Marguerite and Jack's thing. You know exactly what happens with them by the end, but then Lucas, they just kind of I feel like he was kind of just like, okay guys, we did the first 2 family members, now we got to figure out what to do with him, and they came up with some cool ideas, but they never resolved it. So anyway guys, that's my review, my spoiler review. Sorry if it was a little all over the place, you know, I kind of do these unscripted, but that's just kind of my thought. Bottom line is, tanker crashes with bioweapon. The Baker's house is near where the ship crashes. They investigate, bring the bioweapon back. They become infected. The wife, Mia, to the character you play as, Ethan, was on the ship. She was the handler, so she sent out the email in the beginning of the game. That's why you're there. And then you just kind of are dealing with this at that point, figuring out what's going on. And it turns out that Evelyn, the little girl, she is a bioweapon. And she's actually a hallucination the whole game. You find out that it's the old lady. That is the physical embodiment of the bioweapon, and then you deal with that at the end. So that's kind of the story in a nutshell. It is still very good. You should still play it, and I hope you didn't watch this video if you haven't played the game, because I did say this was going to be spoiler heavy. But anyway, guys, that's my review. 9 out of 10 for the score. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching and checking out my channel. And this has been Jigsaw 0097, and I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.